Hi, welcome to Cook with Joy. I'm Joy Kelly, and this is my cooking show. Derek thinks it's his cooking show.
Our
Cooking show, but it's really my cooking show. And it's the 4th season of my cooking show. Can you believe that?
The 4th season of Cook with Joy and Derek.
It's awesome. This season, we've been trying to bring you a couple of different things. Things that are a little more healthful in terms of like thinking about your health, and also some tips that you can use in your kitchen. Also trying to bring you things that you might be able to share with people that someone would never know that it was vegan or gluten-free, right?
Right.
A lot of times when I feed Derek stuff, he doesn't know if it's gluten-free or vegan.
You trick me constantly.
He kind of thinks that it is because I'm making it, but he's never really quite sure. Today, we're gonna make stuffed mushrooms. And I love this dish because I took it out of a recipe book that was just, like, it had all this dairy and all this stuff in it, but I needed to make something that would be really easy to eat as a finger food at a vegan potluck. And so I just substituted all the stuff out of it and I made it into a vegan gluten-free dish. You might want to try that yourself with any dish that's been your favorite in the past, or maybe it's your family's favorite, and you might try to sneakily change out some of the ingredients and see if you can get them to like it.
Sneakily.
Sneakily. It's a very good word. I've done it with lasagna, I've done it with chili, et cetera, et cetera. We're starting with mushrooms, and I've taken the stems out of the mushrooms very carefully just to leave the little circle, and I've chopped them up pretty finely along with 2 cloves of garlic.
You really like both garlic and mushrooms.
I do, and because they're both really good for you, I like the flavors of them together, but also garlic has so many antibacterial properties, and mushrooms have so many things that are good for you, including vitamin D, which is a hard thing to get when you're a vegan and you're not eating certain foods. We're gonna saute these up in a little frying pan, and we could use oil or we could use veggie broth. Your choice, but I'm just gonna use a splash of the olive oil because I can spray this. And this is an interesting thing you may have heard me talk about before, the labeling. So this labeling says that it has 0 calories in it and 0 fat, but when you look at the ingredients, all of the ingredients it's just organic olive oil. So how can that be true?
There's no way.
There's no way. They say it's because the serving size is 1/3 of a second. So I'm gonna put 1/3 of a second into the pan. Oh, that was 1/3 of a second, but I need a little bit more than that. So I'm gonna cover the pan with that a little bit.
Measuring precisely
as usual. And then I'm gonna add the mushroom stems that have been chopped up and the minced garlic. And we're just gonna get that nice and not crispy, but just nice and soft. We wanna get no liquid in it.
How long does this usually take?
Oh, just a couple minutes. While we're doing that, let's just make sure that the mushrooms are really dry. We don't want them to go into the oven wet. So I'm taking a paper towel, wiping them off. And some people don't even use water on mushrooms at all. They just use a paper towel to clean them. So that might be something that you want to try as well. These are really big mushrooms. You might want to experiment with different sizes to see how you like what they turn out like. The smaller ones would be easier to eat in a bite-sized piece. These are going to be more like a little side dish or more of an entree than just an appetizer. I'm getting them really nice and dry, and I'm placing them on a silicone-lined cookie sheet so that, number one, I don't have to use any more oil, and number two, the cleanup is a lot easier, and I hate cleaning up. I really hate cleaning up.
That's what you have me for.
That's what I have you and my husband for, you betcha. All right, let's see how that onion and minced mushroom ends are doing. Let's just scrape that up a little bit. You want the oil, the water to be completely gone, but you don't want the garlic to get burned. So you got to be kind of careful about that. I love this frying pan a friend of mine gave to me. It's awesome.
What makes it so great?
I got to ask her. There's all these things about it that are really supposed to be wonderful about like how you don't have to cook with much oil, which I didn't with this. So that's really great. I see a couple of these mushroom pieces are still kind of big, and because we're going to use these to stuff the mushroom caps, we'll want them to be a little bit smaller. We're going to set that aside to let it cool down a little bit. In fact, what I could do is I could take it out of the pan completely and put it into something else, and that'll help it to cool down faster. I'll be right back. So let's put it into this flat dish, which will allow it to cool down because there'll be more surface area, and I won't have to contend with this hot pan. And we'll let that cool while I get the rest of the stuff together and tell you a little bit about what I'm doing with this dish. So normally when someone makes stuffed mushrooms, usually there's breadcrumbs, maybe some seafood, usually cheese for sure, And we are going to use a faux cheese. And you know I love to use these faux cheeses. This one's made by Kite Hill, and I've used this in the episode that I did a couple seasons back when we made the bagels and lox. Do you remember that?
I do.
The faux lox, they're delicious. I used the one with chives in. This is just the plain one, and I'm gonna use that. It also calls for Parmesan cheese. We have a couple of choices with faux Parmesan, with fake Parmesan basically. This is a Go Veggie. And this one is completely free of any dairy at all, but it does have some soy in it. This one is called Parma, and it is soy-free as well as dairy-free. So if you're someone who's looking to not have soy in your diet, you may want to choose this one. And we're going to use 1/4 cup of that, and we're going to use the entire tub of the cream cheese. So this is 8 ounces, an 8-ounce package of this cream cheese, and I highly, highly, highly recommend that.
Kite Hill.
Kite Hill, yes. Because we're not going to have the gooey nature of the dairy Parmesan, we might want to add a little bit of these shreds. These shreds are going to give it a little bit more texture and more of that gooey flavor, plus they're going to give it a little more color.
What is shreds? Is it cheese also?
It's fake cheese, yeah. It's just fake cheese. Additionally, I'm going to add some cayenne pepper to give it a little more color, and I'm going to add a little bit of the chopped parsley to give it a little more color. Let's see how the garlic and the mushroom tops are cooling down. Okay, that's really good. Great. So we're going to take 1/4 cup of that Parmesan. Yes. And then we're going to add just a little splash of the vegan shreds just for color, or just a little bit. It'll give it a little gooiness and it'll give it a little more color. We're also going to add the entire contents of the Kite Hill cream cheese.
The whole thing?
The whole thing. I'm just going to dump that right in. I'm going to save these to send stuff home with you, Derek, because I know you'll want it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of salt.
Is that Himalayan pink sea salt?
It's Himalayan pink sea salt. A little bit of pepper. I like to use rainbow colored peppers. The more colors you can get, the more antioxidants you're getting, the more families of color you're getting in there. I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Once again, color and flavor.
Does that make it spicy?
It'll make it a little spicy, but you know, we're mixing that up for the whole batch, so 1/4 teaspoon is hardly anything. And same thing, we'll add about 1/4 teaspoon of this granulated onion.
What are you doing right now?
I'm chopping up some parsley because it's just, I think it's just gonna make it look a little fancier. Give it a little more color. I don't know, but it'll also give it the antioxidants from parsley, which I think is really great. Parsley is great for bad breath. So if you are dating someone, I would always carry a sprig of parsley in your pocket. Not only will you look dapper, but you'll always have a breath freshener on hand. Keep that in mind, Derek.
Is there a reason you're telling me this?
And let's add that to the mixture, and let's stir it all up. Now, it's not usually my way to stir things up in a square pan, but because we did it this way, it's going to work just fine. So I'm mixing this up in a square pan, which is really kind of silly, but it's just the way it turned out. I wanted to have this stuff get cooled down faster. So
I think it looks really good.
I am not advocating for mixing in square pans. It's kind of silly, actually. Okay. I think that's good. I think I got everything in it that it called for. You know what could be really good in this? I'm not going to do it, but fresh,
crab?
No, fresh cinnamon.
Did you say you wanted to put cinnamon in that?
Well, I'm just saying I think it would be good. I'm not going to do it today because I've made these once before, and I think I need to give it a few more shots before I start making up my own stuff. But I think that could be really good. And now we're going to fill the mushroom caps. And for this, it's really helpful to have one of these teeny tiny spoons. I'm not usually the best about how things look, but using tiny spoons to fill things always makes it better. I'm going to fill these up so that they're pretty overflowing because I've got lots of this stuff, probably more than I need. You know what I could do with this if we didn't get it all in here is it would make a really nice spread for some gluten-free toast. So I'm going to fill all of these, and then I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Finished stuffing the last one. They look pretty cute. One thing I want to say is I often use already prepared vegan cheeses, and that's great. And there are some really good ones out there, Kite Hill, Miyoko's, etc. But you can make your own vegan cheese as well. There are cookbooks. Miyoko's actually teaches you how to make her cheeses. It's just a book. I think it's called the Uncheese book. So you can make your own. Usually it uses cashews and Rejuvelac, and you have to let them sit and get fermented and that sort of thing. For me, it's just easier to go pick it up, but you could make your own, and they probably would be a little bit more healthful for you as well. But let's put these in the oven. All right. Yum, yum, yum. So here we have them, and you can see that they're seeping a little bit. That's how you can see that they're done. So we want to get them off of this hot cookie sheet as quickly as we can and get them onto a plate and then get them into our bellies. Look how pretty. When you use a decorated plate like this, you don't even need to put a garnish on it. It looks just great, and it's something that's sure to please your guests this summer.